So, you're new to the craft, excited to dive in, and what's the first thing someone tells you? Just do what you want. Whatever. No structure, no guidance, just vibes. Well, today's episode is for you, because I'm about to show you why that advice is about as helpful as a screen door on a submarine. Witchcraft isn't some free-for-all where you throw glitter at a candle and call it magic. Welcome back, my friends, to Not Every Witch, the podcast where we do more than just wing it. We get into the real workings of magic without the lazy shortcut. I'm Michael Blackthorn, and today we're calling out a piece of advice that needs to disappear from witchcraft communities for good. Do whatever you want. That's not guidance, it's a cop-out, plain and simple. Let's be honest here. Do what you want isn't just unhelpful, it's just a total cop-out. It's like someone couldn't be bothered to give you real guidance, so they toss you that vague little phrase and move on. If you're just starting out, that advice leaves you stranded with no idea where to go next. Witchcraft isn't an anything goes deal. It's a practice with structure, layers, and purpose. You can't just throw some random herbs in a jar, light a candle, and expect magic to happen if you don't understand why you're doing it. I see this a lot in a lot of the online communities, a lot of the groups that I'm in. There will be people who have questions, and a huge response is like, yeah, you can do that. Just do whatever you want. It's your practice. And it bothers me because it's hard because you can do whatever you want. It is your practice, but you have to kind of comprehend how to do whatever you want. You know, it's kind of like in beauty school. You have to learn the rules. You have to learn the color wheel. You have to learn what neutralizes, what enhances, and all the things before you start, practicing outside of the box. And so a lot of people, when they have those questions, they don't know, they're not sure, and they need direction, they need guidance. And so when we say, do what the fuck you want, it's not helpful. Just don't comment at all. So when you're new to witchcraft, you need a foundation, a clear path to start walking on. The just do what you want mentality doesn't give you the tools to actually build your practice. It's like being told to build a house with no blueprint. In reality, witchcraft is about understanding how energy works, how elements interact, and how timing and your desires and intention all come together. Skipping over that foundation, well, it'll leave you frustrated and lost pretty fast. And I think that's so important to understand, because I don't feel like a lot of people who say do what you want mean it with ill intent, but I don't feel that they also comprehend what that means. And I feel a lot, my friends. I feel a lot, apparently. But I do feel that a lot of us who get frustrated with people not knowing like certain things, people not understanding like the certain like foundational techniques and such, well, that's kind of partially our fault. Because we keep saying, do what you want. We keep saying blah, 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 blah. And we're not taking the time to acknowledge that, Although, here's another reason people might throw out the do what you want response. Like, sometimes we don't even know what we're asking for. The question itself can be so vague. And this is like a pet peeve of mine. The question itself can be so vague that the only answer left is to shrug and say, whatever. Do what you want. If you're not asking for what you want clearly and with intention, how can anyone or any magic help you? A solid practice starts with asking the right questions and setting specific intentions, not just hoping for the best. So it's important that, and we will talk about this as well, but it's important to make sure that you understand what you're asking, and you are as specific as possible when you ask a question. So today, we're going to talk about why do what you want is weak advice, in my opinion, that leaves new witches in the dark. More importantly, we'll dig into how to work with energy properly, why structure matters, and how asking clear questions and setting focused intentions can transform your practice. So let's get into it, my friends, because I know you want more than vague, half-baked answers. I'm really hoping that this will help us to have conversations or shift the narrative where we maybe take some more time to respond to someone, take some more time to get to know like what is it that you're asking, and take some time to listen as well. And for those of us who are asking questions, take some time to make sure that we can understand it, because sometimes when we're asking questions, we think we're asking very clearly, but we're not giving context. We're not giving, we're not being extremely specific. And so that matters. And I hope that with this episode, we can start doing better, because it's really a passion of mine. It's important to me to build up other witches and to build up other witches to help you find your own, power. So let's talk about why the phrase "do what you want, whatever, do whatever you want" is complete trash, especially when someone is genuinely seeking guidance. This isn't just lazy advice, it's dismissive and frankly disrespectful. Magic, especially for new witches, requires understanding, structure, and a bit of mentorship. Telling someone to do what they want is like brushing them off because you can't be bothered to offer real help. So if you can't be fucking bothered, don't offer bullshit responses. Simple, right? I mean, at least you'd think so. So imagine if you asked someone for help on how to cook a complex dish and they just said, throw whatever you want in the pot. It'll be fine. You wouldn't appreciate it, right? The same thing goes for witchcraft. It's like learning to drive a car. Sure, you could, I'm sorry. I laugh at myself. Sure, you could press whatever pedal you want, but if you hit the gas when you're supposed to brake, things are going to get messy. Magic is no different. It's not about doing whatever, it's about understanding how energy, desire, intention, focus, willpower, and action all interact. Here's the deeper problem. When someone new to the craft asks for help and is met with bleh, bleh, look, do what you want. Do what you want, bitch. Do what you want. It's your practice. Do what you want. Do what you want. I'm gonna get so annoyed with myself after this episode. I apologize if you get annoyed with me too for saying that, but it's also completely understandable. It's just dismissive. It can feel like their concerns aren't valid, like their desire to learn isn't being taken seriously. It's not just bad advice, it can be hurtful. Witchcraft is deeply personal, yes, absolutely. But there are still principles and foundations that need to be understood before you can just do what you want. No beginner should be thrown into the deep end without at least a life jacket. And in magic, that life jacket is guidance. And I think that you remember, I hope so. I hope you remember when you first started out and how exciting it was and you just wanted to learn and grow and everyone's like, oh, just Google it. And while I do agree, like there are some things that people should just Google, maybe that's just not something they thought of. And I am guilty of that, being frustrated, like, right, why are you asking such a simple thing? I feel it's simple. I'm guilty of that. And I will take accountability for that for sure, because it can be frustrating. But at least they're asking questions. At least they're like, hey, wanting to know. And so when you think about it, it's like, oh, so excited, so curious, and just, all of the exciting things, those feelings rush over you. And then you have some cunt respond like, do what you want, whatever. It kind of like, it makes you feel some type of way. And I don't think that's our intention. I don't think that's what we want to instill people with. So rather than brushing someone off, a better response is to ask for clarification. If you're not sure what they're asking for, dig a little deeper. Is it a spell question? Is it a question about energy work? Instead of just do what you want, say something like, you know what? Witchcraft is very personal, but it's important to have a foundation in place. Can I help? Can I help you with understanding the basics? Is that something that you're interested in? Is that something you're needing? Or are you asking like advice on a specific thing? Are you building your practice? Like, ask them specifics. If they put out a vague question, get down to the nitty gritty. Ask questions and get something specific. And this approach not only respects the person's inquiry, but it also opens the door for a meaningful conversation. It invites them to learn and grow rather than leaving them feeling abandoned with an anything goes attitude. Basically, don't be a bitch. I mean, I'm all for being a bitch, but like, why? Not in this context. Not without reason. So keep your shit together, man. It's just, I don't know. I don't like that. That's something that we are providing an atmosphere for, to certain people. Some witches are just being, dumb. They're being complicated when they don't have to be. So there's that. There's always going to be the exception to whatever it is that we're talking about, I guess. Is what I'm trying to say. But it's important for us to show respect. It's important for us to, even if we're like, you know what, this is your practice, you can actually do what you feel called to. But if you need help, like understanding that, if you need help with correspondences, or if you need help with coming up with an idea, I'm totally there. But I need to know more information. So when a new witch hears just whatever, do whatever you want, it leads to confusion, frustration, and eventually burnout. They'll either end up second guessing every choice they make, or they'll give up entirely because they feel like they're getting nowhere. Magic has structure, even if that structure varies from witch to witch. Without a foundation to build from, you're just throwing energy into the wind and hoping it lands somewhere, okay? And I think as well, it does lead to confusion and frustration and burnout. But on a selfish note, it teaches it because we're not taking the time to provide better responses to people. We get annoyed later on when they're teaching others, or they're trying to make up for what we didn't do for them, right? And so they're teaching others, but their advice is they didn't learn proper, whatever that means for their whatever that means for their practice, yada. And so they're teaching things in a way that makes no sense. It's based on no actual foundation. And so we're partially responsible for that because we don't take the time to listen. We don't take the time to respond. So the whole do what you want approach is essentially leaving new witches to flounder. It's setting them up to feel lost instead of giving them the tools to grow. If someone is looking for guidance, they deserve to be met with respect, not dismissal. So what can you say instead of do what you want? And I'd like to hear your thoughts on this too. So in the comments, wherever you want to talk about this, let's talk about it. Join the Discord. We'll talk about it there. But for sure, let's have a conversation about it. But and let me know how you would go about this. So what can you say instead of do what you want? Here's a more thoughtful, supportive response, which we kind of take from earlier, what we discussed a little bit earlier. So witchcraft is so personal, and while your practice will develop into something unique to you, there are foundational elements that help you get started. Can I assist you with the basics, or are you looking for something more specific? Be that, instead of do what you want, like, yeah, you know what? I hear your question. I have some questions of my own because I want to make sure that I'm getting what you're putting out there. And so in order for me to respond to you in a way that is going to be better served, I need to know more. And so this is what I would like from you. Can you do that for me? These types of responses at least acknowledge both the personal nature of witchcraft and the importance of learning the fundamentals without brushing anyone off. So bottom line, do what you want is a lazy way out. It's a cop-out. It's bullshit. And it's not the kind of help anyone deserves, especially when they're putting themselves out there and asking for guidance. Witchcraft is powerful. but it's not a free-for-all. Structure exists for a reason. So next time you're tempted to tell someone, just do what you want, take a step back and ask yourself, is that really helping them? If not, it's time to level up your advice game. Or if you don't want to provide advice, don't fucking speak. Simple, bitch. Simple. I just I don't know why people don't comprehend that. So yeah, there's a lot to get into with this. At the heart of witchcraft is one simple truth. Very animistic in my praxis, okay? But everything is energy. Everything around you, from that crystal on your altar to the plants in your garden, carries a unique life force, an essence that is entirely its own. These aren't just random objects lying around. They're alive in their own way, vibrating with energy that you, as witch, can tap into. That's why when we talk about correspondences like herbs and candles and oils and crystals and moon phases, it's not just about what looks pretty or feels right in the moment. It's about learning to work with the specific energies these items carry and how they interact with your craft, with your desires, with your desired result, with you as witch. Think of energy like a river. It flows in a specific direction, and if you're going to harness that energy, you need to understand how to guide it. You can't just throw a rock in and expect the river to suddenly change course because you want it to. You have to learn how to redirect that flow, how to channel it effectively, and most importantly, how to connect with it on a deep personal level. So here's the thing. Each essence is unique. Each herb, stone, or candle you work with has its own frequency, its own energy, its own imprint, its own personality, if you will. That's why we don't just grab any random object for a spell and hope for the best. If you're doing a protection spell, you need something that aligns with protective energy, sure, but you're not going to just grab anything off the spice rack and throw it into your work without understanding what it's for, right? I guess an example would be like rose petals. Absolutely, roses can be used for protection magic, but if you don't know why or how, or if they can actually be used in that specific situation that you need protection for, you could very well miss out on their true power, their true nature, and their actual ability to help you. It's not enough to grab something and assume it'll work. You need to know the energies each item emits, how they exist in the world, and what they bring to the table for your specific desire, your specific results. Every tool has a purpose, and as a witch, part of your journey is learning to connect with these energies, to know them deeply and intuitively. And that's something that I feel is so important, because people like to say, oh, all you need is, that's another episode I'm going to save for a later date, but all you need is intention, and that's fucking bullshit. Intention is bullshit. And I will say it again. Do you want me to say it again? Let's say it again. Say it with me. Intention is bullshit. And this is why I say it, because everyone thinks that intention outweighs or outpowers, outshines everything else. And I'm like, bitch, if you weak as fuck, like, your intention is not gonna matter for shit. It's just not. And I don't say that. I know how I sound. You know, I have a cunty voice. I have a voice, and it's interpreted like in a rude and cold manner at times, even though I laugh and blah, blah, blah. I understand that I might come across as cold and extremely cunty, but I don't mean it that way. So I don't mean it that way in the sense like your intention is just shit. It can be. And I say that for myself. I say that for anybody. Like, intention is a part of the whole. Intention is a beautiful part of the sequence of things that need to happen. But if you don't have skills, if you don't know how to channel energy, if you don't know how to connect the dots, if you don't know how to do what you need to do, You can intend all you want for something. It's not going to happen because you have so much else going against you. Does that make sense? Oh my gosh. Okay, let me get back on track. And while I'm all for using what you have on hand, because let's just be fucking honest, we're not all sitting on a mountain of rare herbs and fancy crystals, no. You still need to understand, though, how to use what's available to you. It's not about having the most expensive or rare items. It's about knowing how to tap into the energy of what you have. And I think that's why, I do feel that's why it's important for us to really have a firm relationship with all of these things that we connect with, when we comprehend their stories, when we comprehend the story of Rosemary and the associations, the correspondences, and also like the medicinal properties of it, or and health properties, or whatever you want to call it. When we understand that, we get a feeling, a knowing, an experience with Rosemary that when we need something, if we're out of whatever, but we have Rosemary, we can comprehend how we can work with Rosemary for the solution to the situation at hand. That makes sense? So this means learning how these ingredients feel energetically, how they work in harmony or in discord, y'all. In discord. I'm not ready to talk about discord at the moment. And how they connect with you personally as witch. So important for you to build relationship with you as witch, with energy, all of it, and how those things connect with you. Like, I might love Rosemary. You very well could hate it. So there's just so many layers to this. Everything you use or work with, and I hate saying use. I understand why we say it and what we mean by saying it, but I feel like it's so, I don't know, disrespectful. Like, use this deity for this situation, or use this herb for that. It's like, I don't know. What would be a better term for that? And I think because we're so used to like naturally speaking that way, we just say it. But I feel like it's working with, not just use. So like everything you work with in magic is an ally. But like any relationship, you have to get to know them first. And like any relationship, some are going to be a little freaky first off, like when you right when you get to know them. And then like some takes months and months before you get the freaky side, right? And so that's like the really cool thing, and the beauty of our craft is when we build relationships with these herbs or these spirits or entities or whatever it is that we're building a relationship with, our personal gnosis, what we gain from that, how we connect with those things, and how long it takes, it's going to be different for all of us. And it's just, I don't know. I find that really exciting. So don't rush into thinking everything will work just because it's on hand. And I think we do. Like, we get a spell. That's another topic that we need to talk about. But we get a spell. We have the list of the ingredients, but we have no connection to the ingredients. But, someone's like, oh, this spell is amazing, you should try it, blah, blah, blah. You're like, I'm going to do this. And you're just like, you're going to cast the spell on that day, but you don't take time to actually get to know the ingredients you're working with, you've never worked with. And then your spell kind of falls flat. Possibility could be because you didn't have that connection. You rushed into thinking everything was going to work well because someone else said it was, which it could have, very well could have. But if it didn't, you would know that I don't really know these ingredients. I didn't really give them the respect they needed. You need to understand how these energies live and interact in the world, in their world, how they emit their power, and how they can assist you in your work. And so I don't know why mushrooms just popped into my head, but they did. Mushrooms. I think that it's helpful for us to comprehend, like, let's say mushrooms. And there's so many different types of so fascinating. But the types of environments that they thrive in, that might add to your understanding of that mushroom spirit, and the connection that you can build with it. So the type of environment it thrives in, how it grows, their properties, and what they do for the ecosystem, what they do for blah 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 blah, whatever. Like, when you get to know it more and more and more, you open up a sort of like a pathway to experience it on a different level. And then it strengthens the spell work that you do. Connecting with these energies is definitely an intimate process. It's again like building an intimate relationship. You can't just grab a candle and expect it to do all the work without understanding what it brings to the table. Do you know how it feels when you light a candle for protection versus a candle for love? Can you sense the difference when you're working with rosemary for clarity versus cinnamon for maybe abundance? If not, it's time to start paying attention to these things. This is what is going to separate you from other. This is what's going to enhance your craft as witch. This is going to make you a better witch. And that's what I want for you. It's not just about doing what you want, okay? It's about knowing what you're working with. It's about learning to feel these energies, understanding their vibrations, and recognizing how they resonate with your desired results. And the more you work with these correspondences, the deeper your understanding will grow. You'll begin to feel when something is off, when the energy isn't flowing as it should, and you'll know how to adjust accordingly. Let's talk correspondences, because this is where the do what you want crowd really gets it wrong. When we use candles, when we work with candles, herbs, oils, or even the timing of the moon, we're not just throwing shit together for fun. Every tool that we work with in a spell carries a specific energetic imprint. And when you align those energies with your will, with your focus, with your intention, with your witch power, create a harmonious flow of magic. For example, if you're doing a banishing spell during the waning moon, you're tapping into the energy of release, of banishment, of letting go, of shrinking away from what no longer serves you. If you do the same spell during the waxing moon, when energy is building and growing, you're swimming against the current. It's not impossible, but why make things harder for yourself? Correspondences help you ride the natural wave of energy, making your magic stronger and more aligned with what you want to manifest. And I'm going to keep repeating myself. So like if you were to do a banishing spell and it's the waxing moon, your desire is to banish. Okay, I get that. Well, waxing is growth. So you don't want to like cast out something. So the waxing moon, if you're trying to banish something, obviously there's something that you'd like to bring in as well. Focus on bringing in that other thing that you're desiring. And then when the moon wanes, put your banishing spell out there. It helps. So you have to think about things like that. You have to think about doing it differently. Your intention is the starting point, but it's not the whole story. Just wanting something isn't enough to make it happen. You need to align your tools, your timing, your energy to match your desired results, your intention. It's allowing all aspects of who and what you are to come together in unison. It's like baking a cake. You need the right ingredients, and baking is so much more challenging than cooking. Like baking requires precision, right? Definitely like baking a cake. You need the right ingredients in the right amount at the right time. If you're making a cake for someone's birthday, you don't just toss flour and sugar together with no plan and hope for the best. Witchcraft, it's the same way. Intention is crucial, but the correspondences and energies you use are what bring that intention to life. It's what excites it, right? The do what you want mentality skips over all this knowledge and learning. It just assumes that magic is just about throwing energy into the wind and hoping it lands somewhere useful. And that's how it feels when someone says, yeah, just do what you want, your practice. It minimizes the complexity of it, but that's not how it works. It's just not. As witches, we're here to master the art of directing energy, the art of manipulating energy, of learning the subtle nuances of the tools we work with, and of understanding how to create a harmonious flow between our desires and the world around us. Witchcraft is an art form. And like any art, you need to understand the basics before you can break the rules. Sure, eventually you might get to a place where you can improvise and experiment, and I hope that you do. But if you don't understand the fundamental, like how to work with unique energy of different correspondences, how to channel, how to ground, how to center, how to raise your energy, how to connect with spirit. You're going to end up with half-baked spells and inconsistent results. Trust. And I know a lot of people are probably going to be rolling their eyes at me, and I don't mean that you can't have fun. I don't mean that you can't just experiment and try new things. I don't mean that at all. I think that you can and you should, but you should have a foundation first. You should know what you're doing first. Again, I can only go back to hair because it's what I know. If I didn't have the foundation in hair, I couldn't do all the fun things. If I didn't know how to direct the hair in different angles to get a desired effect, I wouldn't know how to build upon that or even fix it. Like I've had my shit fixed too, but like I've had experiences where it's like, oh, someone came in with a really fucked haircut and I had to figure it out. But understanding the way that we can direct the hair to remove certain things and to soften certain things, I was able to fix the hair and not really take too much off length. So that person got what they desired. And I was able to work with what I had. If I didn't have those foundational tools, I wouldn't have known what to do. And I feel like that it's the same applies to witchcraft. It's like it's important to have those foundational tools so you can build strength, build confidence, build courage. And when things go awry, you have something to fall back on. So here's the truth. Yes, your practice is personal. And yes, you should feel empowered to make it your own, but that empowerment comes from learning the craft, not just doing whatever feels good in the moment. As witches, we're students of the cosmos. We're students of the natural and supernatural and all of it. We're students of the worlds. We're students of energy, learning to work with the natural forces within and around us. The more you understand those forces, the stronger your magic will be. I wanted to address this in this episode as well, because it's not just the people responding with, do whatever you want, because sometimes it's the actual person asking the question. So one of the reasons people might throw out that dreaded, do what you want response is because the question they're being asked is so vague, there's no other way to respond. When you ask something like, how do I cast a spell? Or what should I do for protection without giving any context or specifics, it puts the person trying to help you in a tough spot. We need details, witch. Honestly. And here's the thing. Sometimes when you ask really vague questions, it can feel a little shady. Like you're trying to get us to say the wrong thing, or you're baiting us, or maybe you're trying to push an agenda. It's like we can sense that there's more to the story, but you're leaving out, important details. And when you do that, it's hard for anyone to give you solid advice because we're missing crucial information that could completely change the answer. And I always say this, like vague begets vague. Like if you are vague, you will get vague response. So don't be that person. So for example, if you ask, what's a good protection spell? But don't mention that you're trying to ward off a specific kind of energy, like someone's malicious intent versus general bad vibes. That changes everything. The approach, the herbs, the tools, and even the timing of the spell or technique would be different depending on the situation. Vague questions leave too much up in the air, and when the picture isn't clear, we can't offer guidance that truly helps you. And we shouldn't have to ask you 100 different fucking questions to get you to spill everything out. I can't tell you how annoyed I get when my time is precious. Your time is precious. I have so much fucking work to do, right? I have so much to do, so much to prepare for. I have the hustle to do, and I'm not a fan of the hustle, but I have to do that right now, right? And so when I'm taking time to respond, Like, that's precious time. Respect that. And I've had where someone's asking a question, I respond like, no, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm doing. That's not no. And then I respond and they're like, no. And they're just combative. And I'm like, and then they respond finally, and they finally say their entire situation. I'm like, bitch, the fuck? Like, you could have saved us like 20 minutes of back and forth had you just put that in your initial question. Like, come on. And that's just, yeah, that's one of my like pet peeves. I have a lot of them apparently. And so, like, don't do that. Don't do that. If you have details that are necessary, that paint the picture, fucking express it. 'Cause we're just, people who are responding are just trying to help. They're just trying to help you. They're not trying to get one on you or whatever. So, yeah, do better. So instead of asking something broad, like, how do I cast a spell? Try narrowing it down. Ask something like, I'm dealing with a lot of negative energy at work. What herbs or candles can I use to protect myself? Or what colors should I use for a love spell to bring emotional healing in regards to my heart space, my relationship? The clearer and more specific your question, the better response you'll get. You'll also feel more connected to the process because you've defined what you're actually asking for. By being specific, you're not just making it easier for others to help you, you're also showing the gods, the universe, what you really want. Energy responds to clarity. When your question is precise, the answer and the magic becomes more powerful. And when you're asking, okay, I'm gonna say this is probably another episode, but when you're asking about like curses, hexes, negativity, malevolent forces, can we get away from saying black magic, white magic, and dark magic? It's a me thing, but I don't like defining dark as bad, black as bad, and white as good. So when we're talking, I like maledictive, malevolent forces, malevolent stuff, when we're talking about like those negative energies. We're talking about cursing, hexing. We can say that specifically or use malediction. I like that. So we need to do better. It's rooted in racism. It really is. You can see it, and the way people use it, it gives me the ick. And there's no need. Like, help me out here. Let's not feel that ick, and let's not continue it. Let's not continue the ick when we don't have to. And sure, we'll fuck up, and we'll say the things, but that's okay. Just keep doing better. Keep learning. I do it too, like, because we are so trained to speak a certain way, and our practice has, we're trained to talk a certain way. It is okay to mess up, but it's not okay to just not try and keep trying. So when you mess up, you can acknowledge it and just do better. So just like your spell needs focus, your questions do too. A vague spell gives you vague results. A vague question gives you vague answers. And in witchcraft, clarity is everything. When you connect with an herb, a candle, or a crystal, you have to understand what energy it emits and how it works in harmony with your intention. It's the same when you ask for guidance from others. The clearer your question, the more aligned the answer will be with what you need. And let's not forget, asking a clear question is a way of empowering yourself as a witch. It shows that you're not just oh my gosh. It shows that you're not just flinging spells into the universe without a plan. You're learning how to connect with the energies around you and channel them toward a specific goal. When you ask for help, give enough information to let the person offering guidance understand your situation fully. That way, they can provide advice that's actually useful and not just a cop-out like, do what you want, whatever, do what you want. At the end of the day, when you ask clear, detailed questions, you set yourself up for success. And that's what we want, results. We want success. You show the universe, your magical community, and yourself that you're serious about your craft and that you respect the energies you're working with. Magic requires desire, intention, focus, and clarity. So does asking for advice. Let's be real for a second. If you're new to witchcraft, you can't just dive in headfirst with no direction. I mean, I guess you could. A lot of people do. Just don't. You have me, you have us, you have others. Don't do it. So sure, you might feel a rush of excitement at the start, but without a strong foundation, that excitement will fizzle out quickly. A solid practice isn't built on throwing spells around randomly. It's built on learning the structure of magic, understanding the flow of energy, and knowing how to align that energy with your desires. Think of it like this. You wouldn't build a house without first laying down the foundation. If you don't have that solid base, the whole thing comes crashing down. A lot like the tower card in tarot. The same goes for witchcraft. You need to learn the basics, how the elements interact, basic psychic hygiene, the significance of moon phases, energy manipulation, the influence of planetary alignments, and the energies that correspond with herbs, crystals, oils, and other tools. Magic isn't about tossing a bunch of ingredients together and just, wishing for the best. It's about knowing how to use those ingredients, those energies, and how they come together, how they work together, how they build something together with you, the witch. That's why when we talked earlier about asking vague questions, it's such a huge deal. Without clarity in what you're asking or what you're using, right? You're just spinning in circles, getting nowhere. The most important part of building a foundation is learning how to work with energy in a way that's deeply personal to you. And no, this isn't a free-for-all where do whatever feels good. Oh, you need to know how to feel the energy of an herb or a crystal or a candle and how that energy aligns with what you're trying to manifest. Remember, everything has a life force, a unique essence. If you're working with rosemary for protection, it's not just about its traditional association with protection. It's about how you connect with that herb's energy. It's about so much more. The more you practice, the more attuned you'll become to these energies. You'll begin to feel the subtle differences between using or working with a rose quartz for self-love and working with amethyst for spiritual protection. And when that connection deepens, that's when your magic truly sparks, truly comes alive. So if you're not already doing it, this is so important. This is where I'm like, I am terrible at this. I try my best, but I want you to be better and do better than me. So if you're not already doing it, you need to start documenting your spells and results. Keep a record of everything. What herbs you used, what phase of the moon you cast under, how you felt before and after the spell, and what results you noticed. And also, check in, how do I put this? Right in at day 3, at day 5, at day 9, I saw inklings of the spell taking root. So track that too. This isn't just about tracking success or failure. It's about learning how certain energies respond to you over time. When you document your work, you start to see patterns. Maybe you notice that your spells work better when you cast during the waxing moon, or that specific crystals seem to amplify your energy more than others. This is invaluable information that helps you fine-tune your craft, making it stronger and more aligned with you. It also moves you away from relying on someone else's advice, like what, y'all? You know what I'm gonna say? Just do what you want. Because now you know what works for you. And this isn't just for newbies. Experienced witches benefit from this too. Magic evolves with you, and your connection to it changes. Keeping a magical journal, whether you call that a book of shadows, a grimoire, a black book, whatever you call it. It's a powerful way to track your growth and refine your practice. Without a strong foundation, you'll find yourself floundering. That's the problem with this whole whatever, do what you want bullshit. It might sound liberating at first, but what happens when you run into obstacles? What happens when your spells aren't working and you have no idea why? Chaos. Chaos is what happens. And not the actual good, productive kind of chaos. This specific type of chaos and magic doesn't bring results. It brings frustration. So having structure doesn't mean you can't be creative or intuitive or have fun. It means you just know how to, it means that you work and you study and you research and you practice and you know how to channel that creativity effectively. You know how to align your desired result, your desires with your intention, with the right energies and so forth. You know what tools to use, what timing to work with, and how to feel the flow of your magic in your bones. That's what being a witch is about. Not guessing, but knowing. So powerful. Sorry, I was just giving the chills for a second because I had this sort of like flash of witch, like we cast knowing. It's not guesswork. We know. And there's just something, I don't know, like about that part. So I get it. When you're new, it feels like there's so much to learn, but that's kind of the beauty of it. The more you learn, the more you know, and the more powerful you become. Don't be afraid to dive deep into the fundamentals. Learn how the elements correspond to different intentions, how the moon phases affect energy, and how herbs and crystals hold their own unique powers. When you understand why things work the way they do, you unlock a whole new level of mastery in your craft. So don't rush the process. Don't rely on the do what you want mentality because it's an excuse to avoid the hard work. Build that foundation. Learn how to direct energy with purpose and intention. Once you've laid out the groundwork, you can experiment and improvise with confidence, knowing that your magic is solid from the roots up. At the end of the day, my friends, do what you want is a fast track to bullshit and chaos, confusion, and let's be honest, some pretty half-assed spells. But if you take the time to build a strong foundation, learn how to work with energy, and document your progress, you'll be unstoppable. You'll go from guessing to knowing, from hoping to creating, and from scattered to focused. So stop winging it and start owning it, witch. This is another thing that I kind of wanted to talk about. Here's one of the problems I've noticed. Back in our day, y'all don't know how much it pains me to say that bullshit. Back in my day, oh, it's terrible, you guys. It means I'm getting old as fuck. That's just rude. I always swore, I'm not gonna say that. I hate when people say that bullshit. Back in our day. Ugh, yeah, anywho. So yeah, I know. I totally used to hate when people said that, but now I kind of get it. I kind of do. We were still figuring out the internet, building communities on message boards. Yes, message boards, forums, chat rooms. ICQ, I think, had a chat room. AOL had a chat room. Yahoo Messenger had chat rooms. MSN Messenger, oh my god, had chat rooms. And Silver Ravenwolf had a website that you could create groups on. And I met a lot of amazing people on Silver's website. There's a chat space. I met a lot of great people. Some people I still talk to this day. Yeah. So we created all of those spaces where witches could actually talk and share knowledge. We built something together. We really focus on, we fought, we argued like anybody, like family. But we helped, we encouraged, we had guidance, we mentored, we did all the things. We had theories, and we talked about what we thought this would be. Or there's so much magical conversation happening back in that day, back in that time. But now people are just quick to tell new witches, that's your practice, do whatever you want, and that doesn't help anyone. I don't see many people building like that anymore, and it kind of it saddens me because we should stick together. We should build each other up. We should support and uplift one another. This kind of vague advice, leaves, which is feeling confused, ungrounded, and let's be honest, lost that whole do what you want shit. I've talked about this already. It really is like telling someone to trust their gut when they haven't built a foundation on intuition. It doesn't make sense. How am I going to trust my gut if I don't know how to trust it? It doesn't make sense. Yes, your practice will eventually be personal, and yes, you'll get to do things your own way. But here's the deal. Before you start breaking the rules, you have to learn them. That's why the basics are so important. And that's why I'm not going to tell you to do what you want. I'm not going to do that. I will be the one to take however long this podcast is. And honestly, this entire the entire podcast across the board, I will take the time to have those conversations with you, to share with you from my experience. And I'm just one person. But yeah, you have to learn the rules. You have to understand your tools, what you're working with. They give you the rules, that foundation, the basics. They give you the tools to build upon your craft. And once you've got that structure, then you can bend, tweak, and innovate. You can break the rules because you'll know why you're breaking them. And you'll know what rules are being broken and how you can sort of like replace or what needs to balance that out. I know a lot of us complained back in the day that every witchcraft book taught the same basics over and over, but now I kind of wish more people were teaching them. Or maybe more people need to start reading again. I don't know what it is. These are the building blocks of a strong practice, and skipping them leaves you wandering and just all over, scattered. The basics aren't boring. They're empowering. They give you what you need to grow from. So where do you start? I'm talking about real foundational texts, not the trendy watered down stuff. Here are some resources that'll ground you in the basics and help you build a strong practice. I'm going to say this. I obviously can't that could be a whole entire hour podcast, all the resources. I'm going to give you what I can think of at this moment. There's so much more that I probably will forget to mention. I will also say make sure you do your research on authors, because some authors are extremely problematic. When they're hateful people, when they're racist, homophobic, transphobic, and just the list goes on and on, don't support them. Not about that. I don't care if they're in the occult or witchy, field. No. So, okay, some book suggestions for a great foundation. 3 books of occult philosophy, great to have, kind of like a basic. For me, I feel like it's a basic understanding. That with the Golden Dawn. Golden Dawn is a huge ass book. I like it. I like it for foundational text because it explains a lot. And even if you don't use the techniques, or, if it's too much for you, it gives you a good understanding of things. Laurie Cabot, her older books are really fantastic. I'm not saying her new books are great or are not great. I really haven't read too much, but I really appreciated her older books, nostalgia there. So Laurie Cabot. If you're exploring ancestral veneration, Ancestral Whispers by Ben Stimpson is a great one to get into. Practical Solitary Magic is an old book by Nancy B. Watson. That's another one that has a lot of techniques and really good for foundational stuff. And again, I'm not saying that I 100% agree with everything in these books, but I am saying that they're really good for foundational stuff. For like Wiccan Structure, A Year and a Day by Timothy Roderick. Great. And in the same sort of like, in the same boat, I guess you can say, Christopher Penczak. I hope I pronounced his. I probably got his name wrong. I always feel like I'm saying his last name wrong. Anyway, sorry. His whole like Temple series, really, really great. Really great for foundational craft. The Book of Candle Magic by Madame Pamita. Love her. Great book to start with. Great book to have. Psychic Witch by Matt Oren. I know that was another one I was going to check into, because I always feel like I say his last name wrong too. I feel like I say it the way I feel like it reads, but sometimes I'm like, but is that how you actually say it? And I've heard him say it. I forgot to, oh my gosh. Anywho, there are books by Frater Barabbas. That's fucked too. Y'all see, this is why I need to write things down, because my pronunciation is gonna fuck up these people's names, and I apologize. Frater, Barrabbas. Yes, great. Like, I love a lot of his work. So definitely check his stuff out. Mexican Sorcery, Laura Davila, Dream Witchery, The Goodly Spell Book. There's so many. I love Betwixt and Between by Storm Fairy Wolf. Like, it's specific in the type of tradition it's inspired by, but I loved it. I loved the techniques. Marshall has 2 books out. He just released one, Witch of Southern Light. Go. You all probably already know who that is, but I have his first book and I liked it a lot. I don't have his second book yet, but definitely encourage you supporting him and checking out their work. Oh my gosh, there's so many, you guys. There's so many great things. And let me know, because I love to read. So let me know what you're reading, what you think is a good foundational book. I'm just trying to think of everything I can think of to give you all the stuff, but I think that's a good place to stop with the book suggestions. Oh, Devin Hunter has his books. My brain is like malfunctioning, my friends. But yeah, Devin Hunter has some really good books as well that I've read. Beyond reading, one of the most important tools you can create is a well-kept magical book. Book of Shadows, Grimoire, Black Book, Magical Journal, whatever you want to call it. And no, this isn't just about writing down your spells like a recipe book. It's about documenting your experiences, your insights, yes, your spells, rituals, formulas, all of that, and how you're connecting with the energy you're working with. This is where you reflect on what's working, what's not, and why. So when you document your journey, you're building a personal reference guide. It helps you see your progress, track patterns, and understand how magic works for you. Your Book of Shadows, your grimoire, whatever, becomes a mirror of your journey, showing where you've been and where you're going. Of course, learning doesn't stop with books and journaling. Get hands-on. Don't be afraid to practice. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. Practice with different tools, candles, herbs, crystals, whatever you have available. It's not about having the fanciest setup. It's about understanding why you're using what you're using. Even something as simple as salt is a witch's best friend when you know how to work with it. So get dirty. Start practicing. Start doing those things and grow as you read, as you research, as you practice some more. Your witch muscles will just get stronger. You're going to be witch fit. Damn. Every time you use a tool, you're learning more about how it resonates with you. The more you engage with these tools, the stronger your connection with them becomes. That's when the magic really starts to flow. And remember, simple doesn't mean weak. You don't need a shelf full of expensive items to work effective magic. Sometimes the most powerful spells are the simplest. A single candle, a focused intention, and a quiet moment. But that simplicity only works when you understand the energy you're working with and how to channel it properly. And look, you're not in this alone. Even though the landscape has shifted, there are still ways to find your magical community. Join online groups, but be discerning. Avoid the fast food version of witchcraft. Find or build a community that shares real knowledge. Hello, join us on Discord, my friends. Find the link at noteverywitch.com/subscribe. Join us on Discord. We have fun. And if you can't, create a routine of practice and study for yourself. Remember, Magic is a lifelong journey. The more time you invest in learning and refining your craft, the more powerful your practice will become. So, if you're feeling overwhelmed by all the noise out there, take a deep breath. Focus on building a solid foundation. Start with some of these books. Document your experiences and practice with intention. Witchcraft isn't about taking shortcuts. It's about mastering the craft step by step. The deeper you go, the more powerful and personal your magic will become. So grab a book, start building your foundation, and trust that every step you take is part of the journey to becoming the witch you're meant to be. In a nutshell, this is pretty much what we talked about today. The problem with do what you want advice. It leaves new witches confused and without direction. Understanding how to work energy. Magic is about working energy intentionally, not doing just whatever feels good. Communicating clearly when asking for guidance. The clearer the question, the better the answer. Building a strong foundation in your practice. Learn the basics, document progress, and understand why things work. Providing tools and resources for foundational praxis. We recommended some resources and community support to build a solid practice. Alright, witches, now that we've shredded the do what you want bullshit, it's time for a reality check from our favorite elder witch bitch, Rosemary. She's about to drop some wisdom with her signature spice, as always. Welcome to...
Save me, Rosemary.
Today's question is perfect for the topic we've been discussing. Dear Rosemary, what should I do if I don't know how to structure a spell? Honey, you've come to the right place because Rosemary isn't about to let you throw random stuff together and call it magic.
Oh, darling. If you don't know how to structure a spell, the last thing you want to do is just wing it. Witchcraft isn't improv comedy. Well, at least not always. It's an art and a science. You need a framework. It's like baking a cake. You wouldn't throw random ingredients in a bowl and hope for a 5-star dessert, right? Same thing with magic, honey. You don't throw in a dash of salt, a smudge of rosemary, and hope for the best. Structure matters. So, let's talk about it a little. Step 1, I guess you can say. Setting your intention or desire. So, let's break it down. Step 1 is always your intention or your desire for whatever it is that you are crafting. What are you trying to achieve? Be clear, be specific, and don't leave room for the universe or the gods to get confused. Witchcraft, my dear, isn't vague. I want happiness is not a intention or desire. It's a mood. Get real with it. Are you asking for clarity? Are you banishing negative energy? Do you want to attract love? If you're not specific, you'll end up with vague results. If you get results. And trust me, nobody wants a wishy-washy spell. To start, write it down. What do you really want to happen, my friend? Writing it forces you to be concise, and magic loves clarity. As much as it loves me, the clearer you are with the universe and the gods, the more direct the results. So instead of, I want to feel better, try, I want to remove the specific energy block that's holding me back. Now we're talking. Once you've nailed down your intention, it's time to choose your tools. And I don't mean grabbing the nearest thing that fucking sparkles. Your toes need to align with your goal. If you're doing a protection spell, you're going to want herbs like rosemary, sage, black soul, something that has protective energy. Now, if you're doing a love spell, you might want to include herbs and correspondences that are associated with the specific type of love you're trying to create or attracts. Maybe some rose, some cinnamon, or honey. Something that resonates with attraction and sweetness. This is where correspondences come in. Everything has energy. Candles, herbs, crystals, oils. And your job is to find the ones that amplify your intention. You're not just lighting a red candle because it looks pretty. Red is for passion, that spark of life and energy. And it's perfect for a spell designed to ignite something, whether it's love, courage, or motivation. But if you're working on something peaceful, maybe go with blue for calm or white for clarity. So, for example, say you're doing a spell for protection. You could use a black candle to banish negative energy, rosemary for clarity and protection, and maybe some black tourmaline to ground that energy, to transform it, to transmute it, to protect yourself. You're creating a recipe that aligns every ingredient with your need, with your desire. Next, let's talk timing. Because, honey, you can't just do a spell whenever you feel like it and expect perfect results. Emphasis on expect perfect results. I know some of y'all be like, I can do whatever the fuck I want. And sure, go for it. Do what the fuck you want, bitch. That's fine. That's fine. Make it work for you. But if you're going against the grain, if you're casting against all of these massive things that are important to consider, expect your results may not be the best, but you do you, honey. Timing matters. If you're doing a banishing spell, do it during the waning phase of the moon, when energy is all about release, casting out. But if you're trying to draw something toward you, like love or abundance, work with the waxing moon, when the energy is growing. Aligning your spell with the right moon phase gives your magic that extra boost. Astrology plays into this too. If you're doing a money spell, try to cast during a favorable Venus or Jupiter transit. Venus rules love and wealth, and Jupiter is all about expansion and abundance. Timing your spell with planetary energies just stacks the deck in your favor. And who wouldn't want that? Now, let's put it all together. You've got your intention, your desire, your need, your lust for results. You got your tools and your timing. What next? The ritual, motherfucker. And no, you don't need to get fancy, but you do need to be focused. Start by grounding yourself, whether that's through meditation, deep breathing, or just standing barefoot on the earth. Get centered before you start. Then, light your candle, arrange your tools, and speak your desire clearly. Speak it out loud like you mean it, because your voice is one of the most powerful tools you have. This isn't the time to be shy, honey. Put your energy into it. Pour everything you have into that moment, visualizing exactly what you want to happen. You can raise energy by chanting, drumming, or even clapping your fucking hands. Whatever feels right to build that magical momentum. This is where you can start your words of power, right? And this is just a basic construct. There's so many ways to do this. There's so many different components. I'm too old as fuck to go through it all right now. But if you have specific questions, feel free to message me. We'll get it taken care of. So, once you've raised enough energy, send it off. This is the part where a lot of witches mess up. They forget to actually release the energy. Visualize your spell shooting off into the universe like an arrow aimed straight at your goal. Then let it go. Don't obsess over it afterward. That just pulls the energy right the fuck back, without it even doing its thing. Trust that the universe is working in your favor. So, darling, if you don't know how to structure a spell, start with this. Your need, your desire, that intention of yours, tools, timing, and focus. Every spell needs a backbone, and that's how you build it. Trust me, with a little practice, you'll get it. And remember, if you ever doubt yourself, go back to the basics. Every powerful witch knows the importance of a solid foundation. And go out there and cast like you mean it. But don't expect magic to work without structure. Even the universe lacks a little order. If you're still not sure, darling, just remember, witchcraft is about building your skills, learning how energy works, and aligning everything in harmony with your desired result. Structure your spells and they'll reward you with results. Chaos has its place, but not when you're learning, not now. No, go figure it out, cast something worthwhile, and let me know how it goes.
Now, if you've got burning questions or you're caught in a magical mess, don't hesitate to send your cries for help to Save Me Rosemary at info@noteverywitch.com. Whether you need advice or just a little magical kick in the ass, Rosemary's here for it with a side of sass. Who knows, you might just hear your question answered in an upcoming episode. Alright, witches, that's a wrap for today's episode. If you take anything from this, let it be this. Do what you want might sound tempting, but it's not the path to powerful magic. You need structure, a solid foundation, and a real understanding of the energy you're working with. Witchcraft is like a muscle. If you don't train it right, it's not going to do much for you. So study your craft, build upon those skills, and let your spells flow from that strong foundation. And hey, don't forget to join our coven online. Head to noteverywitch.com/subscribe for more witchy wisdom, exclusive content, and updates. We want to see your journey too, so make sure to tag us at #noteverywitch on social media. Show us what you're working on and let's keep the magic going. Until next time, remember, witchcraft isn't about doing whatever feels good. It's about knowing how to work the energy like the witch you are.